Venus recently went through a rebirth on June 4th, 2024, during what's called a Venus Cazimi, her conjunction with the Sun. Cazimi comes from the Arabic term in the heart of, so Venus was traveling through the heart of the Sun, where she is said to be reborn. This was her superior conjunction to the Sun, when she's not visible from our Earth-based perspective due to the conjunction occurring on the far side of the Sun outside of view from Earth. This superior conjunction is a multi-month period of introspection and reflection, and it's symbolic of Persephone's time in the underworld, with the underworld and Hades, Pluto, representing the depths of our psyche. Venus has a very interesting orbit. She follows 18-month cycles, during which she appears, disappears, and reappears. Just as Persephone spends half her time here on Earth with Demeter, she spends the other half of her time in the underworld as Hades' wife, or queen of the underworld. Venus spends half her time as a morning star and half her time as an evening star. When Venus is a morning star, she can be visible at sunrise. When she's an evening star, she's visible at sunset. To the ancient Greeks, morning Venus was phosphorus, which translates to mean bringer of light. Phosphorus burns really brightly, you'll see it in fireworks. While in the evening, she is Hesperus, meaning western, because the sun would set in the west. The archetypal energy of morning star Venus people, and there is a difference between if you're born with Venus as a morning star or an evening star, I'll get into that in a bit. The archetypal energy of Venus morning star light bearers are guided by the heart and emotions over logic. Morning star Venus people tend to be free-spirited and adventurous, but they struggle to hide their true emotions. They tend to wear their heart right on their sleeve. There may be a need to process emotions verbally through talking it out or journaling. This is when fools rush in energy, and it can get very hurt if it's not careful, as it can be very prone to manipulation by those who would seek to take advantage of their warm, open hearts. Trust me, I get it. I'm a morning star Venus. Venus is my planetary ruler. I have a Libra stellium. And Venus is in the 12th house, rising with my ascendant. If you're an astrology enthusiast, you know what I mean. In stark contrast, the archetypal energy of evening star Venus takes its time warming up to other people. It prefers to reveal its deeper emotions slowly over time. Venus evening star people prefer to process those emotions internally before attempting to express them or share them with others. When heartbreaks occur, it can take a very long time for evening star people to get over it. They may be prone to rumination, so pay careful attention to your mind. Don't let it wander for too long. And even if they never speak to their ex again, they may think about them for years and decades. Let's go over how to determine whether you're a Venus star morning person or a Venus star evening person. And from those archetypal energy patterns, you might already have an idea. Back with that toxic karmic relationship that I was in, he was very much an evening star Venus. I was a morning star Venus. It conflicted. We both thought our way of processing emotions was the better way. So the easiest way to tell if you're a morning star Venus or an evening star Venus person is to pull up your chart. If Venus is clockwise from your sun, or an earlier zodiac sign, a sign that comes preceding the one where your sun falls, you would be a morning star Venus person. If Venus is positioned counterclockwise from your sun, or at a zodiacal sign that would come after your sun sign, you are an evening star Venus. If your Venus and sun are in the same sign, like me, you'll need to check the degrees. Get precise here. I'll use my own chart as an example. Do you see how Mercury, Venus, and the sun are all rising with my ascendant in the same sign, creating that Libra stellium? Since my natal Venus is 8 degrees Libra and my natal sun is 14 degrees Libra, this makes Venus a morning star. Without knowing my birth time, you can also tell that I was born during sunrise, because my sun and my ascendant are in the same sign. This is another neat astrology party trick that you can keep up your sleeve. Pretty cool, right? What you see is absolutely what you get with me. So to review, if your sun and Venus are in the same sign, and your Venus is at a lesser degree than your sun sign, you're a morning star Venus. If it's the other way around, if your Venus is at a higher degree than your sun, you're an evening star Venus. If your sun and Venus are at the exact same degree, you'll have to get even more precise and look at those tiny little numbers to the right of the degree symbol, the arc minutes. That's really rare. You were born during a Venus Cazimi. So in the weeks leading up to Venus's reemergence as an evening star, which happens at the beginning of Leo season, Pluto activates this energy by opposition, bringing what was reflected upon during May, June, and most of July, while Venus was reflecting and introspecting, Persephone was down in the underworld, up to the light of consciousness for for healing. The Mars-Uranus conjunction on Algol happens in the sign of Taurus, which is a sign ruled by Venus. So it's all part of the story. It's also important to note that Venus, Aphrodite, and many other feminine energies in Greek mythology did not marry for love. Hera, Juno, wife of Jupiter or Zeus in astrology, married unhappily to a man who could not stay faithful to her. And there are many stories where Hera has revenge plots. Aphrodite was forced by Zeus and Hera to marry Hephaestus, after essentially winning her, defeating Aries in battle. Hephaestus adored Aphrodite, but she did not return his affections. She had an affair, multiple affairs, with her, what we believe to be her true soulmate, Aries, Mars, Venus and Mars, producing many notable offspring and giving birth to tales of forbidden love all over the world. Romeo and Juliet, Tristan and Isolde. Aries was her true love, and it's the union she would have chosen had she had the power of choice. Aphrodite's love for Aries must not have been that true, however, because she later fell in love with a handsome mortal man, Adonis. Adonis enjoyed hunting, and despite being devilishly handsome, he was said to be the product of, I don't think I can say the I word here on YouTube, so I'm going to say, very cleverly here, be careful with my words, he was the product of an improper relationship between his mother and his mother's father, who were of Syrian descent. It was his beauty that caused Aphrodite, even from birth, to notice him and to keep an eye on him until he reached age of maturity, where she ultimately fell in love with him. Adonis died young, while on a hunt, and this was because Ares had disguised himself as a boar, a wild boar, and engorged him with his horns, out of, one can only presume, possessive, jealous rage. Devastated, Aphrodite pleaded with Zeus to bring him back, and Zeus agreed to do so out of affection for Aphrodite. Adonis therefore became symbolic of transformation, rebirth, regeneration, the four seasons, hunting, and farming. Aphrodite, Venus, had to plunge into the depths of the underworld in order to bring him back, symbolic of what's happening with the astrology today. I'm going to read you a couple quotes from this phenomenal book, if you don't have it already. Liz Green's Saturn, A New Look at an Old Devil. Really good book. The Piscean era, with its pronouncement of sex as evil and of death as the gateway to never-ending heaven or hell, this kind of conditioning runs deep, as it has been with us for 2,000 years, and even the more liberal-minded and scientifically inclined have the same collective heritage of fear, superstition, and fascination about this area of the human experience. When Venus reemerges as an evening star, this will happen while Venus is still in Leo, but while the Sun is in Leo as well during Leo season, which is ruled by the Sun, amplifying the solar plexus and the heart chakras. For Venus and all things Venus ruled, the Venus archetype, the yin energy within each of us, our feminine side, the divine feminine collective, our daughters, sisters, mothers, significant others, girlfriends, wives, what we love, value, and invest our time or energy into, our money and our resources, even the things that we do for work to acquire those resources and to build our self-confidence. It could include our self-confidence. Pluto's opposition is activating the dark feminine archetype, highly chaotic energy, and this is as the divine feminine desperately seeks to regain the imbalances of power over the past 2,000 years in the Piscean era. This can manifest as displaced anger and aggression. It's important to remember to use this energy wisely and compassionately, as it directly influences your quality of life. We must not allow illusions of power to ignite chaotic or destructive patterns within, or to lead us into a path of addiction. Black Moon Lilith and South Node in Libra the next 6 months helps paint the picture. Black Moon Lilith in Judaism is the story of the first wife of Adam who refused to submit to him. And because she did so, she was banished from Eden, cast out as a harlot and an outcast in society, and honestly painted to be quite a demonic being, whether or not that's true. You can see similar parallels to that with anyone practicing tarot, astrology, herbalism in later years, cast out as witches and burnt at the stake. So it really depends on whose perspective you're listening to, the patriarchies or the divine feminine. Black Moon Lilith is therefore symbolic of the patriarchy's suppression of divine feminine power over the past 2,000 years during the Piscean era. Lilith was replaced by Eve in the Christian origin story Adam and Eve, where Eve was far more submissive and controllable, just the way the patriarchy wants you, and later blamed for accepting the fruit of temptation from the serpent, symbolic, yet again, of the patriarchy's suppression of divine feminine intuitive powers the past 2,000 years. You see, you are much easier to control as an outcast when you're cast as a harlot, a witch, a crazy person, or a leper, or otherwise banished from society, or made to feel as though you don't belong, isolated, angry, and divided. It is ironic that in our society, the prostitute, or modern day OF content creator, I can't say what OF stands for, but hopefully you can read between the lines with me here. It is ironic that in our society, the prostitute or OF creator, who is at least honest about the wares that she sells, is despised and generally ends up in jail, while the wife, who fundamentally plays the same role and buys her security with her body, is glorified because society condones the mask. There are a great many women who trade their sexual favors for a legal tie, which promises them financial security, and a great many men who buy these favors in exchange for what have been euphemistically termed a husband's rights. Thank you for watching. If you're still with me, you're a real one. Drop your current most used emoji in the comments. If you took anything away from this video, we ask that you like, comment, share the content, and subscribe. If you enjoyed this video, we know that you'll enjoy the full playlist and this additional video. Thank you so much, love you, and see you soon.